Generating traffic and sales can be a challenge for online merchants. But selling on the Walmart Marketplace puts your products in front of millions of customers who shop on Walmart.com. And right now, sellers who join Walmart Marketplace can save up to 50% on referral and fulfillment fees for the first 90 days. So get started today. Head over to marketplace.walmart.com/savings. That's marketplace.walmart.com/savings.
Welcome to E-Commerce Conversations, a weekly podcast focusing on e-commerce topics featuring interviews with prominent people in the e-commerce space.
Welcome to E-Commerce Conversations by Practical E-Commerce. I'm Kerry Murdock. It's not every day that we speak with a Stanford PhD in philosophy who has funded the construction of schools around the world. That same person started dabbling in e-commerce a decade or so ago, and his company is now a publicly traded retailing powerhouse. He's Patrick Byrne, and the company is Overstock.com. He's here today to discuss holiday sales strategies, among other e-commerce topics. Well, Patrick, thank you for your time today.
Great to be here, Kerry. Thank you.
What does Overstock do to prepare for the holidays?
Well, a number of things. First of all, our systems. We have to make sure we do a lot of development and over the year and developing new technology. And we have to make sure that by the time we get to November 1st, none of it is fragile anymore, that it's all hardened and bolted down. We have kind of a theoretical code freeze where we don't even roll much new technology once you get past November 1st, just because we don't want anything to break. We also build our inventory substantially, and we develop some integrated marketing campaigns to go out very aggressively into the market. And I would say the last thing is we've cut our prices. We've spent the whole year sort of stripping costs out of the supply chain and the marketing chain, and as we strip those costs out, we pass a fair chunk of them back on to the consumer in forms of lower prices. So our pricing has got, I would say, exceptionally sharp this holiday season, probably sharper than it's ever been.
Well, I noticed that it looks like your company will gross something around $750 million for the year, give or take, in annual sales. What percentage of that will be holiday related? Would you guess?
Well, in general, we are growing again. I do think we should be positive growth for the year, and typically our fourth quarter is close to 40% of our annual sales, and the period for November, December is close to about 30%, roughly 30% of our annual sales occur in those 2 months.
Wow. So my $750 million number sounds low to me.
Does sound a little low.
Yep,
It sounds a little low to me.
Yes, that does to me too, having heard what you just said. So roughly 40% fourth quarter.
Well, not 40% growth, but 40% of our year occurs
of your year.
Fourth quarter, and of that, even really 30% occurs in just over really a 6 or 7 week period. It's
Wow.
very busy, 6 or 7 weeks.
Wow. Patrick, our audience, the audience for Practical E-Commerce is smaller e-commerce merchants. Are a lot of small family-owned mom-and-pop type businesses. What advice would you have for them as they prepare for the holidays and beyond?
Are they e-tailers?
E-tailers. Mm-hmm.
E-tailers. I have two pieces of advice. One is what the internet. There's an old saying from John Wanamaker 50, 80 years ago said that half the money I spend on marketing is wasted. The problem is I just don't know which half. The internet lets you figure out which half, and it figures. And you find out, by the way, it's not half; it's 80%, 90% of a typical company. But with measurement and data, on the internet, you can reduce that to zero. You can reduce the waste to zero. You can figure out the payback on every single marketing dollar you spend if it's online. So you have to invest in the systems that let you do that. Now, 10 years ago, they were hugely expensive and you needed big development teams. Now you can pretty much get that stuff off the shelf through one advertising network or another. MSN has very good technology. DoubleClick, there's lots of people. Google, of course, that great technology for advertisers that let you figure out the payback on every dollar. And you really want to keep your, as a rough rule of thumb, you probably want to keep what you're spending equal to the gross profit you're making from the channel, and not more, or not much more, because that way, you make the money, or you break even on the first transaction. Then if you can get people to come back, that's when you make the money. So, and ideally, you want to spend less money on marketing than you're making in the gross profit from that transaction, from that channel. So the only way to get there is to have the systems. Now, fortunately, the systems are now, you don't have to buy anything. You can just, by taking part in the right advertising networks, some of them have very advanced systems that let you measure the payback on everything you're doing. That's one thing you can do. Another thing you can do is, if you can, since so much is data driven, if you can afford it, you got to have some equivalent of what's called a data warehouse. And, that can be there's very small ones that mom and pops can afford, but you got to have some sort of central repository of your data and develop techniques, and it's a full-time job for somebody to be looking at the data and finding the patterns. Because what you find is that, well, just like a brook can be an average of, say, 3 feet deep, but there's one place it's 10 feet deep and you drown. Mm-hmm. You may have 1,000 customers and you're getting whatever $200,000 of revenue, but if you really analyze where your profit is, what you find is all your profit, 140% of your profit is coming out of 50% of those customers. 55% of those customers. 50 of those customers out of the 1,000 are giving you all your profit, and maybe all of your profit and then some. And the other 950 people that you're serving are actually costing you money. And so you can't, and what you want to do is, of course, try to sort of get rid of them and get more people like the 50. You can't get there. You can't do that unless you have really some good analysis. And if you're not going to put the time in to be doing that kind of analysis, you probably need to stay in a different game, because what the internet is doing is letting people, there's so much data and there's such strong patterns that can be found, that the people who are figuring out how to find those patterns and harness them are able to strip so much cost out of their system that you're really not going to be able to compete with them unless you're willing to play the same game. Now, fortunately, the systems, like I say, are cheap enough and small enough that even a mom and pop can compete if you sign up with the right advertising networks, which help you with all this. But doing that kind of data-driven marketing is a big part of the game, as well as, of course, keeping your other expenses low.
A listener that is taking part of this, that's listening to this, a smaller business, they may have 2 or 3 employees, a niche freestanding e-commerce site. They may be saying, Overstock.com is a reason why I can't grow. It's impossible for me to compete against a company of that size and magnitude. What would you say to that person that's listening to this that says that?
Well, I would say that's not true. We started off tiny. We started off with a little room full of people, and we sort of grew 1.8 million, then 30. We just, so it's not true. But there's actually an alternative for that person, and this is really, it's going to sound self-serving, but I think it's at least a good course of action as the first recommendation I just made, and that is Overstock. People don't know this widely, but 80% of our products that you see on our site, we really don't warehouse. We make deals with all these little mom and pops. We have thousands of suppliers who drop ship for us. And there's people who start off in their garage with us and now have multi-million-dollar businesses. And I hear from the bankers who call and say, gee, there's this fellow down in California, and His bank, the bank couldn't even believe that this guy had built a business of several $1 million, and he needed to go and get a warehouse and a second warehouse. There are suppliers, but they don't actually ship their products to us. They integrate to us. And so if you have a product that can be sold on Overstock and fits in one of our categories, and we're expanding all the time, instead of all the expense of building your own website and stuff, get in touch. We load you. We have this very simple software that you can integrate to, and then we're doing all the marketing. We're doing everything that I just said. We're driving the traffic and converting the customers. We're handling the customer service, handling the credit cards, doing all the things. And so that customer never really needs to know that it's actually a mom and pop in Des Moines or a mom and pop in San Francisco who's actually drop shipping the product to them. We have well over 1,000 of these partners, and a lot of little mom and pops have built very nice businesses, getting a niche, getting it live on our site. Typically your sales, it's much different than eBay or Amazon Marketplace. We're not open to the world. It's much more of an intimate relationship where you're not just posting whatever you want, but you work with our buyers, you get your products, you get them up, and we deliver a lot of sales to these kind of people. So I think the best solution for the mom and pops is to become integrated into our ecosystem, and that saves you all the expense of building your own marketing programs and things like that.
What percentage of your merchandise, you mentioned the products there that are for sale that you warehouse and that you don't warehouse, what percentage is closeout and liquidated related merchandise versus non-closeout liquidated related?
Well, in a sense, it certainly all started off being closeout and liquidation inside. Mm-hmm. And we started off, the people who deal in that trade in the retail world are called jobbers. We started buying from jobbers and became a jobber. Then we became really an Uber jobber, selling to jobbers. But we've actually kind of moved back to the intermediate level where we do a lot of buying ourselves. And that is primarily, can't say 100%, but that's primarily closeout and liquidation, and overwhelmingly, I would say. And then we also have these partners. And the partners typically tend to be folks in that world. They have access to closeout and liquidation inventory. And so a lot of those partners are themselves jobbers who, it's a mom and pop jobber. They have some source of excess inventory out of a factory. They don't want to build their own website and marketing programs and all that kind of stuff. So they just integrate with us. And so I would say between us and our partners, I had to pick a number, I'd say 3/4 of it at least is actually, it's closeout in one way or another. It's either been a bankruptcy or a liquidation, or somebody somewhere wants to get rid of the inventory. And there's different ways that it reaches us, but it's probably 75% or more is what we call authentic closeout. And then some of it is just a factory says, gee, they've got downtime. They've got a 6-week period where they don't have enough orders to keep busy, and so they'll make stuff for us at a special price, but it's just to keep their factory busy. And arguably, you could say, well, that's overstock too. That's just a kind of overstock. It's an overstock of time in a factory rather than a physical product. But so anyway, one way or another, the goods that end up with us are they're overstocked, but they may be different kinds of overstock. They may be bankruptcies, or maybe just the factory won't keep the machine.
Okay, let me change directions on you just for a sec. We write a fair amount here on shopping cart abandonment and items that drive shopping cart abandonment. What do you think of offering free shipping? That and the research we conduct, that's either number one or close to being number one is consumers' perception of high shipping cost. What's your opinion of offering free shipping?
Well, I like free shipping. I like free shipping. I do think there's evidence that customers value it more highly than they should, in the sense of economic. We noticed on days we have free shipping, suddenly people order disproportionately $500 bookcases. Now our normal shipping policy is $2.95. So if they're waiting to a free shipping day to order that $500 bookcase, it means that on a normal day it's only $3. So it seems that they're they're overvaluing the free shipping. And women especially, however, if that's how they value it, that's how they value it. It's up to us to adapt. Women especially, in part in the latent sexism, but as soon as you just talk about marketing, you get talking, there are differences in the way people shop. Women especially do not like sticker shock on checkout. They especially object to getting into the checkout process and seeing, $30 to ship a television or something. So you're really driving away female customers if you do that. Men have not as big a problem with it. They have other things they care about. Women care about the two primary things are the shipping costs and the quality of customer service. So especially if you're selling a product that is oriented towards women, you have to make sure you've got great customer service, and you got to do something about your shipping. If you know that it's going to cost you, if you're selling a $100 product and you know it's going to cost you, $10 to ship it, probably better off just saying it's $110 with free shipping, and that's better than saying it's $100 but there's a $10 charge in checkout.
Mm-hmm. Patrick, we spend our niche in the world, of course, is e-commerce, and I feel like I should be calling you Dr. Byrne because it's not every day we talk to a PhD in philosophy. So,
well, you're not missing much, but that's very kind of you.
Anything else on your mind today for our listeners in regards to e-commerce?
Best of luck to everybody out there that are making a go of this in this industry, and don't forget what I said. If you got great products, but you're having building the site is difficult, don't remember to look into the Overstock Partner Program. And in any case, best of luck to all your listeners.
So that URL for the partner program, that would be overstock.com. Is there a subdomain after that for the partner program, or is that just on your site somewhere?
Actually, it's on our site, or just write me an email. I'm Patrick at overstock.com. Just drop me an email.
Okay, great. That's overstock.com. And Patrick Byrne, we want to thank you for your time today, sir.
My honor. Thank you very much, Kerry.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have for this week's e-commerce conversation. I hope you enjoyed it. Please tune in next week for another new episode.